Okay. Welcome to our Footy Fantasy podcast. My name is EJ, and I am the host today. And I'm going to introduce our guests for today. First of all, this is an all Arsenal podcast, all Arsenal everything. No non-Arsenal fans are invited, and we want to talk about our club and do it right. Oh God, haters are already talking. Hold on, let me introduce the guests. We'll start with Toby Odunwosu. Toby, welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, thanks. Glad to be here for sure.
Good. I feel like it's been a while, but we see you a lot. So.
It has been. I crashed in a few weeks ago.
That's what it was.
Yeah. But it's been a while. I think it's been a year. I did one. I did one beginning of last season, I think. Yeah.
Okay. And Stephen, welcome back. We've seen you a few times this season, so welcome back.
Yep. Thanks for having me. I think I always get invited when there's drama, though. That's seems to be the pattern.
Oh yeah. Okay, no, this comment was positive. This is Henry. He says, "Hello, we in here." Henry is an Arsenal fan, so we're already starting out on a good note. That's great. Hi, Henry. All right, so our first topic is going to be about the Arsenal season. So I just want us to kind of individually give our own summaries of what we thought about Arsenal season 2022-2023. We'll start with Toby. What did you overall? What's the picture you have?
That's a loaded question, but I'll go first. Okay, I think overall, if you ask any Arsenal fan, they'll tell you they enjoyed the season. At least I enjoyed the season a lot. It's probably my most enjoyable season in 10 years, right? However, did it end? People say we bottled the league. I could accept that, given how it ended, right, and where we were. But the reasons are obvious, right? And ultimately, I don't think it's about mental strength or about players not being up to quality. It's literally about the squad size and us not having 18 players that can rotate in and out, right? Plus the players we thought could pitch in. I mean, ESR literally didn't contribute a single thing, and that was not the expectation going in. Vieira still hasn't found his feet, so there are positions where you expected more, and players you expected more from, and they just couldn't deliver, which is unfortunate. But our squad isn't there yet. To be fair, if we didn't compete against City would have won the league back in November, and no one would have watched the Premier League. So I think the fact that we were able to show growth and able to, stamp our playing style on the league and see it deliver consistently is a very, very good sign. So I'll rate the season. Like, if anyone told you going into the season that Arsenal will finish second, and not like we scraped second, like second by a mile, like there was no fear of dropping into third, right? All of us are taking it, right? Well, top four, second, we're all taking the season. It's a sequence that makes it a little bit painful. Like, we went on this mad run, 90-point pace, then became a 50-point pace team. Obviously the Saliba injury, Partey didn't really get back to his standard best, right, after struggling. So ultimately, I would say the season was very, very positive. And if we can build on that, then that's great.
Okay. Good points. Let me quick, before I jump into you, Stephen, let's see some of the comments. Henry's upset that he didn't get an invite. I mean, there's so many Arsenal fans. But Henry, you're welcome to hop on if you can. I think I sent you a link. I think Henry always has good things. It's going to be.
I had to beg for my invite.
The what?
I had to beg for my invite.
Oh.
I literally had to threaten the IO.
But yeah, I'm missing from the comments now that you said that, though. Watch.
Yeah. No, hang on. Aya does have something to say. Toby, Arsenal made a lot of friends.
Yes, we did.
Hi, Harry. I did. Okay. So, Harry, you follow. I'm not hearing myself twice. What's going on? Okay, maybe you, Harry. Okay. Stephen, that's your.
Yeah, there's a definite echo. Hello. Yep, that's better.
It might be Henry's. Yeah. Okay. But go ahead, Steven.
Yeah, no. So from my side, I think the same as Toby's, like really positive season. Again, I think we've all kind of gone through this, like, I don't know, call it a lethargic relationship with Arsenal, where we kind of just come into the season not expecting a lot, hoping for the best more than anything else. I think with the signings we made, I think there was a lot of excitement going into the seasons. Like the first season with Saliba, Jesus was a good signing, Zinchenko was a good signing. So we actually started the season with a lot more positivity, and I think that just translated to the team overall. Like the fans were positive, the team was in a good place. Like we got the transfers done relatively early. We had a good preseason, so it just felt like everything for the club was finally going in the same direction. And for me, just having that positivity around the place and the club was already like the biggest thing for the season. And then the results on top of that, again, you just kind of had a bit more swagger, a bit more confidence about how you could see the team going into games. Like you weren't going into games worried about whether the team was going to play well or not. It's just whether or not they were going to get the result. So I think that was more the thing that I enjoyed the most. And I was thinking through like even the conversation about what game did you enjoy the most, and there were so many good performances across the season. So no, for me it was a really positive season. I would have bitten your hand off to finish second by what I think it was 5 points in the end, and be so comfortable in the top four. Obviously everybody's gonna hate and say the other teams weren't good, Chelsea weren't good, Liverpool weren't good, but you look at the points total and you look at where we got our results. I think we took points pretty much off everybody in the league, which is always a good sign of a team that's consistent. And so yeah, no, I really enjoyed the season. I think the team's made a lot of progress, and I also, the thing that really encouraged me as well was the fact that the team made progress, but individual players that people were almost like hating on as well continue to improve. Like Saka's gotten better, Martinelli's gotten better, Odegaard's gotten better. So the younger players that we have that we all are really excited about, they're continuing to improve, and they're still 21, 22, 23. So they're going to get better again. So that's kind of why you already kind of hear the hate come in terms of, oh, you're not going to be able to do this again. It was your best chance ever, blah, blah, blah. Right. Average youngest team in the league, but we're not going to improve again, even if we sign good players. Okay, whatever. So I think that's more where the confidence comes from. I think it was a really good season. I'd probably give it like an 8 out of 10 as well. I think the end is explainable. Toby hit the nail on the head. Is like, but I actually don't think it was in the forward areas where we struggled. We scored enough goals, we just couldn't keep goals out. So midfield was weak, defense was weak. Like the backup in those areas isn't good enough. Like holding, we knew not good enough. We lost Tomiyasu. Didn't have another right back at the club. Like you kind of in a situation where we couldn't keep teams out at the end of the season. Goal scoring wasn't the issue. I think Trossard was a great signing. I think he had like 10 assists at the end. And when you think 10 assists in the team from January to the end of the season, like goals weren't our issue. It was just keeping them out. So I think that's kind of why my focus is going to be on that side of the team more in the summer. I think we do need some reinforcement up front if we can find it, but the team made a lot of progress, and I think the young players are going to improve again up front, but at the back and in midfield, that's where we lost the league. We just didn't have the depth in those areas to kind of cope with losing one or two people.
Great points. Great points. Harry, let me let you go before I wrap it up. You talk. Hang on. Yeah, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I feel like our season was interesting, and I kind of already agree with what Toby and Bramble said. And the reason why I agree with them is really because we faded towards the end of the season. Actually, I feel like from the early part of the season, we were lucky enough to deal with our injury problems, right? But the luck we had at the beginning of the season towards the mid part of the season didn't hold true to the end of the season. We struggled with somewhat like a player like Partey, right? Towards the end of the season, you could tell that because of the amount of games he's played, you could see the wear and tear and the fatigue, right? And also, a lot of the players we expected to step up this season. In terms of like some of our youth players, like the Emil Smith Rowe, probably the only shining light out of all of them was probably Nelson, Reese Nelson. But overall, I felt like it was a decent season for Arsenal. Probably like one of our best seasons in a very long time. In terms of we now have an identity. I feel like for the longest time we didn't have an identity. We didn't really have a pattern of play, but they figured that out, right? The next progression or the next step now is we need to go back to developing this mentality, this winning mentality, and also supporting and backing the team up with depth, because that's what fueled us this season. So I'll give us like a 7/10 or 7.5.
Very good, very good. This comment, I'll take it real quick. It's from Ray, and where is it? Don't see it. Oh, there it goes. Ray just says, "Come on, you Gunners, we go again next season," and that's my sentiment as well. I think we had a great season. It was an excellent season, numbers wise. We know we did the most numbers we've had. I think it was even higher than the total. Was it higher than Invincible's total, or was it as high as then? Okay. So yeah, so that we're talking 17 years. So those numbers are great. Obviously, we beat every team at least once, except for Southampton and City, because we didn't beat those teams either time. Which I'm so happy Southampton got relegated. I've been saying it for years. Finally, they've gone. So I think we'll be better off. But anyway, like there's moments after moments, and again, we're going to talk about it soon. Your favorite moment. There's just moments after moments of brilliance, of like last second goals, of just like complete happiness watching this team this year. It's almost like, we know what happened towards the end, but how angry can you be? Like, I feel like if you're going to be angry, then you should also be happy, and then you have to balance that out. But, so it is what it is. You guys have hit all the nails on the head, so I won't belabor those points. But yeah, great season for us. So I definitely give us an 8 out of 10 as well. And I will move on to the next topic. What is your favorite moment of Arsenal's season, of this past season? Like just a moment. It could be a goal. It could be an event. It could be something. But what is it? Start with Henry. Well, Henry, you didn't see his questions. Let's start with Stephen.
That's a really tough one. I was thinking about this one just based on when I got the list, but it was like, because we have the Bournemouth one stands out just because it was emotional, just in terms of how they got the result. But then beating Liverpool, Martinelli scoring inside of the first minute, like you beat Manchester United near to last minute goal again. There were so many performances, beating Spurs at White Hart Lane, like that new Tottenham Stadium, whatever the hell they call it now.
What do they call it? Does anyone know what it's called?
Shaped like a toilet bowl still. So
something, I don't know. Is it Millennium Stadium? I don't know.
No, the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, I think it is.
Oh, okay.
But yeah. So there's a lot of them. But if I had to kind of vote for one, it's probably, I won't go for the norm, but I think probably that Liverpool result. And the reason I go for that one is just because people were questioning us going into that game. It's like, okay, now we're going to see, even though Liverpool having such a bad season, it's like, okay, they play Liverpool at home. They're going to probably lose that game, and then we'll see what happens. And we just, first 30 seconds, Martinelli's in, goal. It was just, so I think that moment was the kind of where I was like, okay, this team is not just it's not the normal Arsenal that people are waiting for something, that they've just got something about them. So that's probably my moment. There's obviously other ones that's probably stick more in terms of just the result. But I think that Liverpool game, just because of what it signified in terms of confidence with the team, is the one I would go for.
Okay. Sorry. Before I let you go, Toby, I see this comment here. This is a comment for the last discussion. 8 out of 10 is fair. Y'all overachieved. And that's an
we overachieved.
I'm sorry?
If we overachieve, what did United do?
Yeah, exactly. I don't. There's some. I don't like that overachieved thing, because that suggests the team wasn't as good as it ended up as. Whereas I think the team ended up where they were because they were just as good as that.
Right. It's probably semantics. I think everyone at the beginning of the season said that we would finish fifth. I said we would finish third. I keep saying that because I was on paper. I was on paper saying we would finish third. Based off of last season, I don't know how we were going to finish fifth. Like, I didn't see the 5. So did we overachieve even based off of my estimations? Yes, just in the beginning, but like it's not a fluke. So I see what you're saying, Toby. It's almost sounding when you say y'all overachieved, we punch above our weights. We did punch above our weights, but it wasn't a fluke. The players played well enough to pull that off. Like every game we went into, we were, barring City, maybe Liverpool, were the favorites. Pretty much every game, maybe except for United at home, Spurs at home.
Well, and don't forget, United owes us the the referees had to apologize for costing us 3 points at Old Trafford. So like,
yeah, like
I don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah, well, yeah, don't mind United. United fans are hilarious. Someone else is saying something else. This one said, "Can we do some review for teams that actually won things?" Because United won the Mickey Mouse Trophy, we'll never hear it.
Yeah, I think we should do a special recap for United. Maybe what's that trophy called again?
Carling Cup.
It's not Carling Cup. No, they've changed the name. Vitamin Water or something.
Carabao Cup.
Carabao. Yeah, let's just have a podcast for Carabao Cup.
Like you guys
give them their flowers.
But let's be real. What the teams they beat en route to that cup, even the teams they beat en route, they should be ashamed.
It doesn't matter.
There's no shame. There's no shame. And all of them are at home as well. Huh? Every single one was at home.
Yes.
Right?
Goodness.
So, yeah.
I have a different take though. I kind of agree with that sentiment that we as a team last year we overachieved, and it's for a few reasons. In terms of the resources we had, none of us here at the beginning of the season would have said we would have given City the fight that we gave them. Like, guys, we were close to like really doing this year, right? And if you look at our players, like if you were to compare apples to apples, like the players, like City players versus Arsenal players in terms of depth, you can make an assertion, even if you throw in Man U there and other teams that came within the top 4, you can make an honest assessment that we did overachieve, right? Because barring a few like injuries, we really would not have any business in the top 4. Do you understand what I mean? So in that sense, you could really make the case that we did overachieve because we had less resources, right? Now, if we had more resources, like say for example, we had a solid backup for like Jesus. I know what's his name, EJ's best man filled in that void, and she was on cloud 9. But if we really compare it to the players City had, we were nowhere close to that stratosphere. Like, check what they did in Europe, right?
Can I ask a question?
It's not a knock on us, right? I want us to see that it's not really a knock on us that we haven't progressed or gone to the next. It's in the fact that with the little resources we had, right, we were still able to make that mark, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I think we overachieved in that sense.
But it overachieved in terms of challenging for the title, yes. But overachieved in terms of Arsenal had no chance of being in the top 4 is what most people are talking through. And that's where I'm like, we were 1 point behind Spurs last season, right? So, and we were really close to Chelsea, who didn't even get back in because, again, bad recruitment. We know what's happened with the club since, etc. But so we weren't miles off of the top 4 teams. But at the start of the season, it was United have had a better window. Spurs have had a better window.
Yeah.
You haven't made enough progress. Those are all. So forget City for a minute, because nobody was close to City. It was Liverpool and City for the title, right? So forget them two for a minute. But everybody else, like versus Tottenham, versus Chelsea, versus United, I was never having it that they had better windows or that they were further ahead than us at the start of the season. So overachieve, the fact that we went from 5th to 2nd and the way that we went, 100%. But in terms of did we overachieve what I thought we should be competing for the top 4? Not really. I just think the gap between us and the other teams, the recruitment and the way that the players have progressed, we just went faster than a Tottenham and a Chelsea, and those teams went backwards a little bit, and we just accelerated on.
Yeah. And if I may add to that, I think I don't even want to use the term overachieved. I think we surprised everyone. And that's because we didn't know what we had. Like, we were the ones, some of us would have been shouting, Saliba needs to come back. We didn't give Saliba a chance. none of us felt that that dude would be. He's worth over 100 million pounds today, right? Literally, and no one saw the transformational aspect one person in our defense, and he pushed Ben White to right back, and that wasn't planned. Like he came back for preseason and said, "I'm going to take this," and I was like, "I got to keep this guy in. Let's try Ben White at right back." We started preseason. All of us thought, "Oh, it's just not going to last." Lasted till his back gave out, right? And that's how transformational he was. And then Ben White, to his credit, was also transformational right back as well, like consistent, formed a relationship with Saka. So those were connections we all couldn't see, we didn't see, but now we've seen it. It's not like, oh, Saliba is not going to be a beast of a defender, or it's not as if Ben White is not going to be a beast of a right back or a central midfielder. So when you think of the quality that surprised us, it's not going to be inconsistent, right? It's not like all of a sudden, like Saliba did this in the French league for 2 seasons, right? So it's not like he found a level that he never had. It's just that we hadn't seen it and we didn't know how it would work with him and Gabriel. But if you look player for player, like let's be honest, you go against the back four, Zinchenko world class, Gabriel Magalhaes has always been consistent. Saliba is consistent. It's not like all these guys found another gear that they've never had. We just hadn't seen it, and we were surprised at it. But I think, to Stephen's point, yes, can we compete with City to win the league? Potentially, because you don't have to be. We could have lost to City both games and still won the league. Let's be honest, right? We had a better bench and we had better things going on. We could have lost those games to City and won. After all, we beat Leicester twice when they won the league. Remember the Welbeck's header in the last minute? We beat Leicester twice and they won the league. And they beat us to the league. So we could have dropped those 6 points and been fine, right? So I think the team surprised. The challenge is next year, teams are going to know how to play against us, and we have to figure out other solutions and get some strength in depth, for sure. But yeah, I think, yeah.
I'll stay with you and we'll course correct and go back to our favorite moments. What's your favorite moment, Sylvie?
Oh, mine has to be Reece Nelson's goal, because I was watching it at home on my bed, chatting in my WhatsApp group. All of us were like, it's over, turn off the TV. I think I might have looked away, and then I started screaming, and it was like pure madness because I'd given up. Like I want to find a fan that felt that game was not going to end as a draw. That person must be very, very optimistic. I was like, it's done. We've dropped points. Let's move on. And it was going to be disappointing. And, I don't think he can hit that ball any sweeter. If he tries it 10 times in a row, he probably goes in one out of 10. But that has to be my favorite moment. Only seconded by Eddie's goal at United. Was that at the Emirates? At the Emirates, when we beat United, just because it's United and they've been talking smack and they cheated us that first game. I was like, we need to beat these people. So yeah.
All right, Henry, what about you? What's your favorite moment?
I second Toby. That was mine too. The only one that came close second for me was Jorginho's goal. There was also a last minute goal Jorginho scored. I'm not. Was even a deflection or slight deflection?
Aston Villa.
Yeah, Villa went off his head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
So
went
that
off
was not.
Martinez's head.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's between.
Not sure where he went.
For me, it's between those. Sorry about that. I don't know. I think someone was calling me, but it's between those two. But I'll still go with the Reece Nelson because that was, nobody saw it coming. I thought. I don't know what's going on. I thought the game was over. But yeah, that's my own favorite too, Reece Nelson.
Yeah, I think that's my favorite moment as well. Like again, the drama of everything, right? So we were 2 goals down, and then we came back, and then we're like 97th minute. So what I did at the end of the season, I made a TikTok with my 10 most memorable moments, and that was my number 1. So like Stephen, everything you said was on my list. All what else did you say? Actually, the Aston Villa goal I chose wasn't Jorginho's goal. It was Zinchenko's goal because I thought that was his first goal. I think it was his first Premier League goal. So I was like, the moment we needed it that's kind of started the comeback. I think that tied the game.
Yeah.
And then Yeah. So let's give me 1 second, real quick. I have a special guest. Okay, so that's Kelechi AFC, Dr. Kelechi. We all know him from AFTV and from Instagram and from Twitter. And he's very busy, so he'll talk to us when he can. But I did want to, if we could get him, I wanted to try and get him on. So we'll keep talking, and when he's ready for us, he'll talk to us. But yeah, so that's my favorite moment, right? The Burma goal. And it's funny because I didn't watch it. I wasn't physically watching that game. I was following the scores on my phone with my WhatsApp group. I have an Arsenal WhatsApp group, and everyone were just praying. Like, we're literally praying because I was like, how can Burma beat us? What is going on? It's not worth it. Blah, 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 blah. We need to keep our streak going. And then boom, 97th minute, we scored. So that was great. It's great. All right, I'm going to move on we'll jump to Arsenal Player of the Season. And I'm going to give you guys leeway to tell me your top 3 if you want to. If you can't pick one, well, if you're going to give me a top 3, I do want the top most player. I think Arsenal is still coming up with their list. I don't think they've given us the Player of the Season. They're releasing it like...
They've announced it.
They have?
Yeah, they've announced it.
Okay. Thank you.
How you guys doing?
Yeah, we can. How are you?
Huh?
Yeah, we can hear you. Can you hear us?
How you guys doing? Yeah, I'm struggling a little bit. I'm at this polo event. Sorry.
Yeah.
I forgot you gave an appointment today. Sorry.
Well, yeah, welcome, everyone. Like I said, this is Kelechi from AFTV, and from social media. I'm sure you guys are very familiar with it. But Kelechi, right now we're talking about the Arsenal Player of the Season. And if you have anything, I can let us go back. I know that you can hear us. There is a lot of sound coming from your end. But if you can hear us, if you want to share anything you want to tell us about what you thought about Arsenal season, that would be great. So just
anything I want to tell you about Arsenal season, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we started really well. You know, in fact, for the first time in what, how many years I've been to watch Arsenal live now, like 10 years. There was scarcity of tickets. Tickets were being sold out. Away tickets, I was even struggling to go for away games. I had to start begging players. Find me tickets. It was that bad. So it shows that we were playing well and everybody was coming out to go. The support was massive. And I thought we were going to do it. You know, after Aston Villa away, I thought this might be the season. Then Brentford happened. And I'm like, this place, like last minute winners, you know, like community, maybe there's good omen. And then we went to Liverpool. I mean, it's a hard ground, but you know, we managed that one. The West Ham was the one that, for me, that disappointed me the most because 10 minutes we are already rocking in the stadium. All of a sudden, it was like we were shut up ourselves. We didn't know what was happening. Then went to Southampton. I wasn't even in the stadium yet. I was still outside 1 year. By the time I dropped my bag inside TV, I was like, what's happening here? So we started well, but we didn't end well. But what I keep telling people is the yardstick of our KPI this season, we actually more than surpassed them. And we are proud of the boys. No matter what happens in the Champions League now, they will learn from this experience. I mean, we are aware now, that I went back to Nigeria with Bukayo, and some conversations here and there and everything. So they are hot, definitely, but they are going to put it right. I'm sure about that. They are going to put it right. With the right timings as well. So that I woke up this morning, I'm hearing that they want to sell my boy. In fact, it's not even trying to. Because we need the depth. Even if you're beating that Latvia guy, we need to learn from his elders. You understand? So there's also something that they make the right signings, make the right decisions. I mean, obviously the manager is in charge. Whatever he does, whoever he wants to sell, we have to back him. But we just have to get it right and push again. The belief was there. For me, I believe that if Saliba was hit, would have probably hit it. I believe that if we are taking the Europa League more seriously, we would have won it. But actually, when we went out of the Europa League, what I was raising mad, I was angry. Because we know the team chasing you behind. You understand? Man City, you know that you might do. Yeah. Europa League, the only Manchester United we are the only in the position people. It's something that we could have taken more serious. But that's in the past. Hopefully make new signings, new quality signings and everything again.
Okay. Yeah, that's very good. I mean, you brought up some points about we didn't really talk about the games that we lost right before City that kind of told us that kind of like highlighted the collapse. But I think we've all just personally discussed those games on our own. But yeah, that's solid. Those are solid points. And yeah, I think if you've heard from Bukayo Saka and he said that we're going to take next year more seriously, then, or like we're going to come back and bounce back, then I'm happy to hear that.
No, obviously the poor boy is hurting, because and he played his skin now. I'm never surprised you're taking off at halftime versus England. I'm not surprised because that boy played his heart out. Like the boy played every game. Like we need to sign somebody to at least come in sometimes in his place. Because when he's not playing, I'm not just drop the quality. Play the boy, yes, but at least managing well. The boy played his heart out. That boy's body is done. He's done. You understand? But he wants to play because he's an international boy. He's playing his heart out. He's an national boy. You understand? But again, make quality. Now I see why they were going for someone like the Rafinha last season. Someone with a similar quality that when the player is not playing, they can compete. You understand? For the position. You understand? But
Okay. Well, thank you for those points. All right, we're going to jump back to the topic at hand. Arsenal player of the season. You said Arsenal has already announced it. Do you guys agree with that? Odegaard, Arsenal player of the season?
For me, 100%.
Okay. So
Yeah, same here.
Okay.
I'll pick him as well.
He was just so consistent. I think that Saka was the number 2 and he was there, right there. But I think Saka started the season really well. But I think from about January, he was kind of up and down. Like Kelechi said, I think he needed a rest, and we just didn't have. Well, Arteta was like petrified to almost rest him because he had other options, right? Because he could have played Jesus off the right, he could have put Trossard through the middle, he could have done he did it in a couple of moments, but he brought him on. He took him off rather than just starting with that shift. So I think Saka was tired towards the back end of the season. He still was heavily influential, but I think over the whole season, Odegaard was just standard, didn't drop the whole season.
Yeah, I definitely agree with the Odegaard call. Odegaard, Saka, and Saliba. If Saliba had finished the season, I mean, he just went out too early. I just think the impact of his absence was felt. That's all I would say. But does that make him the player of the season? Probably not. So I would go more with the Martinelli.
Yeah, no, I think Martinelli deserves it, right? Like Martinelli, he had almost 15 goals again, like 14, 15 goals again. And big goals as well, right? Like I said, he was the one that was scoring in the bigger games. So I have to really kind of go for Martinelli. I would put Xhaka in the conversation, but I think Xhaka is more because of the evolution.
Right.
But Martinelli for the season, I think you have to give Martinelli flowers for how he played.
Okay. Does anyone have a different player to mention? Special mention?
Yeah, so I kind of agree with you guys, on the general consensus that our player of the season is Odegaard. And just, if you look at his player index, I think the only person that had a higher player index was Saka. But in terms of overall impact, awareness, how he would talk back into assists, like he was just everywhere, right? He would do the, supply assists. He helped with the goals. Sometimes you would see him even engage the fans and, try to get them, going when they needed that extra 12-man support. The only other player that I feel like, because of the way he ended the season, we've all kind of forgotten what he contributed to Arsenal was Partey. Like at the beginning part of the season, if you look at the games that Partey didn't play, we were not doing good in those games, like significantly. It was a big drop off, right? So I think it's important for us to mention him. Additionally, Bramble also mentioned something earlier. I felt like if there's one person that I fault a little bit, might be Arteta, because he could easily have used what's his name? The guy we brought on recently. What am I forget? He had the highest almost the highest amount of assists for us within a
Trossard.
short.
Trossard.
Yeah, Trossard. I felt like Trossard can play anywhere up front. He could easily have started some of those games for Saka. While Saka is resting, he comes from the bench and even be more impactful. So that's one assessment. But I think honorable mention to Partey, barring the way he ended the season. I think that makes us not appreciate him more. I'm even hearing rumors that there's a possibility that we might trade him. I don't know how true that is or that
Okay.
or not. I think he was good by what happened towards the end of the season.
Kelechi, do you have anything to add for us?
I just like it's always fun to do this kind of things with Americans. He said, you just say trade him. That's what he said, right?
Sorry, say that again.
You didn't say party, trade party. You said.
Well, no. So you say that there are rumors.
Yeah, that's what I'm
trade.
saying. No, the word trade.
Oh, yeah,
You're not using it here. You're not using the word here. How is that? You can say trade. I mean, you guys have said, anybody could have. I mean, Odegaard clearly player of the season. Saka is second. I think even Xhaka did well. They all did well. Even for me to pick, to be honest with you, very, very difficult. And someone like the Saliba, for instance, he showed his importance in the team when he got injured. He catapulted. But again, what he said about Partey, I think Partey's slump actually started from that West Ham game. It was surprising because I don't know if it's that he didn't support him enough to rediscover it, because after that mistake, he wasn't himself again. And even the mistake, those flicks are flicks that he doesn't remember that he comes off. So I don't know if he affected him, I don't know. And all of a sudden, against Nottingham Forest, I'm seeing him right back. So, I don't know what's going on, but anybody could have won player of the season, but I think what the guy is.
Okay. Yeah. Let me move on to the next topic, but I think that will help us talk more about Partey. I think Partey should have had his own topic probably, just because, again, the rumors that we're hearing about him being traded, the drop-off that we saw towards the end of the season. And I kind of think part of that drop-off we saw was because of the absence of Saliba. I feel like he had to compensate a little bit more for the presence of Holding. That's just what I could tell. But yeah, what are our player targets for next season? So we think we're linked to Havertz, we're linked to Rice. God, please give us Rice. We were linked to Caicedo, but they're saying Caicedo is going to Chelsea. Those people. And we're linked to a lot of people, but who do you guys think we should get? What positions do you think we should try to buttress this season? Start with Toby. I haven't heard from you in a while.
Oh, do you know my dream midfield
Well,
is when Ben White steps up, and then our midfield is Ben White, Rice, and Caicedo. That's perfect.
okay.
You all don't get the joke, right?
Yeah.
Ben White, Rice,
Ben White,
and Caicedo. But Caicedo is called Dodo.
Right.
So our midfield literally is Rice and Dodo. But think about it. And then you got
Nice
it.
one,
Okay.
nice one.
It's Uncle Ben's
There you go.
It's White Rice. It's Caicedo, Dodo, Plantain.
It's Dodo. Yeah. There you go. But no, I think for signings, I think Arteta has made it clear. I think Rice is number one because he can play multiple positions, and we spoke about how we struggled to concede goals. Yes, we used to play with only Partey in the midfield. Like everyone else was up. Partey could cover everything, and no one else could do that. And I think if you look at what Rice is really good at, he's really good at recovering the ball and protecting the football. So if you put Rice in that midfield, all of a sudden you have defensive stability. I mean, you literally have two giants behind him. You have Saliba and Gabriel. And if Ben White is there, and then you put Rice, we're not going to turn over the ball. And that, to your point about West Ham scoring in the first minute, it's not going to happen, because even if Partey turns over the ball, you have people that can win the ball back, and you have a more dynamic midfield engine, right? So I think Rice is number one, and I think it'll be sad if we don't get him. And I think we should get him. I think Caicedo is not done, honestly. I think the rumors are that we agreed personal terms with him in January, and so I think that one is more strategic, whether we get him in addition to Rice. Kai Havertz, I don't like. I've been saying never Kai, but there's a saying in Nigeria, when the desirable is not available, the available becomes desirable. So I started taking a second look at him, started trying to convince myself maybe it can work. It can, however, I do think with the amount of money, I hear it's on like 300K a week at Chelsea.
Oh, God.
I don't know. I think if that transfer fee is above 50, and he's on like 200K plus, he better be doing what Odegaard, Martinelli, and Saka are doing, which is 15 goals, high single-digit assists. But if he's going to come in at 50 million and make 200K and give us 9 goals and 4 assists, then that would be terrible business. So that one, I just don't know if he can rediscover his form in Germany, right? And there are a lot of players that can never rediscover their forms they had in Germany. You look at Jadon Sancho, you look at Timo Werner, right? It's not that they're bad players. So with him, he's never done it in England. If you look at his underlying numbers, you can see why he could work. And it's going to be a high-risk strategy. And since Arteta has come in, I don't think he's really put a lot of money to someone that's so high risk. Like Jesus was a known quantity. Ben White was a known quantity. He was high risk, but he wasn't like 70K when we brought him on. We're just raising him now. So even what's our goalkeeper's name? Ramsdale was high transfer fee, but he was on 30K money. If he didn't work, we could have moved him on. I think with Kai, he has to work. If not, people look at that as, if he does come and he doesn't work, it would be really, really bad for Arteta and Edu. That's the one that, to me, I think can make or break their legacy. Kind of not doing so well on Lokonga, Tavares, Runarsson. That's small money. Those are players with potential you can take a risk on. But if you go for Kai now, he better be better than everyone else you have, because he's going to be your most expensive forward. And expectations, there's no learning curve. So.
Let me take this comment real quick. I don't know why United fans are harassing us. Why are they trying to give us their players? But McTominay can give you some steal. Steven, do you actually love this guy?
Hell no.
All right, go for it. Tell me what we need.
No, we spoke about it earlier about midfield for sure, right? So I think Arteta's focused on the midfield. Like we were talking about before, the midfield is the area of the team that really cost us. We've got Xhaka, Partey, Jorginho, El Neni. That is our midfield right now. So it's not about 1 or 2 players. It's about 3 or 4 players, because even behind that, Lokonga probably isn't good enough, needs a loan, or at least to prove himself before we make a decision maybe, but he's not ready. Partino, yes, he's a good young player, but probably not going to help us move forward in the Champions League. So we don't have the depth or the quality outside of Xhaka and Partey. And again, take the sentiment out of it for a minute. Partey is 30, Xhaka is 30. Both of them have got 2 years on their contracts. Both of them are high earners. We're going to have to pay or give them new contracts for them to stay. If we go and offer Partey a contract now, you're talking about Kai Havertz on 300 bags a week. What does Partey want to stay at Arsenal when he's already on 180 grand a week? Like, we're going to have to give a 30-year-old Partey who gets injured a hell of a lot, 200 plus, because he's going to be one of the top earners, and then we're going to have him for another 3 or 4 years. So if you think about it with the logic and you say, right, okay, maybe that's why if a bid comes in for Partey, they might be open to it if they get Rice and Caicedo and Lavia or whoever else, because they're offsetting that change. If we don't get it, then you obviously can't sell Partey and Xhaka, but I think one of them is definitely going, and I think then there's a push to get younger and get more dynamic and more long-term in line with the rest of the team. in midfield. So they're going to spend a ton of money in midfield, whether we like it or to the names or all the rest of it. They love a versatile player. Havertz can play in 4 positions. We're in the Champions League. You're talking about numbers. They had Mahrez on the bench. He cost almost 100 mil. They had Alvarez on the bench. Yes, he was 20 mil. You look at the players that the bigger teams are leaving on their benches, and we're worried about how much 40, 50 million players are going to be on the bench. That, again, I don't care that Saka was free. I don't care that Martinelli was 7 million. Whoever's the best player is going to play, and we need competition. Like, for Arsenal to get to that level of a Liverpool, of a Man City, of these teams consistently, we're going to have players that cost 40, 50 million on the bench. That's what's going to happen, because that's the level. Whether we like it or not, that's the level. So for me, I think Havertz, it comes a bit from left field, but I think the fact that he can play off the right, we just mentioned that Saka needs competition, needs a rest, needs alternatives. He's another player that can play off the right. I think he can also play in the 10, and he can play as an 8 when we're really chasing a game. And then the other thing, I think, just in terms of the players that we spoke about, we didn't get a lot from Smith Rowe this year. We didn't get a lot from Vieira this year, but we didn't really need it. Like, the issues we had were at the back. It was in the midfield and at the back. Up front, yes, Arteta could have used them a little bit more, but we didn't have an issue scoring goals. Like, it wasn't that area of the team. Even the games that we lost, it was 2-2 with West Ham, right? It was 3-3 with Southampton. The issue wasn't that we couldn't score, we couldn't keep the teams out. So midfield and defense, for me, that's where I want us to be really focusing. And then I want us to kind of like keep pushing to evolve where we can up front. That's why a player like Havertz, who's versatile, can play as a 9, can play as a wide right player, can play as a 10. If you can get him, I agree though, not for the 70, 75 mil. It's no more than 45, 50. And then a big chunk of that's probably going to be in some kind of incentives. If they can do that, I'm okay with the deal. But they got to invest in just getting quality. So I love the links to Rice, love the links to Caicedo. I think Lavia is a really good player, 19. So that's long term. Again, if you have to keep Partey, and he's better than Lokonga, obviously, right? So I think there's just some options that we have to look at. But midfield and defense, for me, we need another right back or centre back as well. Because again, ruthless as it sounds, I don't trust Tomiyasu. So if Tierney goes, Tomiyasu can play left back, Kiwior can play left back, and I think that's what Arteta is going to do, which is why he tried it at the end of the season. I don't think we're in for a left back. I think he wants to have someone who can invert and someone who can play that support fullback position. So I think we're going to have one-on-one. So I think it's going to be Zinchenko and Kiwior / Tomiyasu. And then I think it's going to be Ben White and someone who can invert and play attacking, which is why I think he likes Caicedo, because he can play 2 or 3 positions as well.
Okay. That's a good summary. Henry, do you have anything else to add?
No, not really. I think the focus of transfer policy this season, and I can't remember where exactly I read it, but I heard that Edu and Arteta were going for players that could play multiple positions, which makes sense in terms of depth. That would be ideal. Obviously, all of us are praying for Declan Rice. I just want him, because I listen, Vieira is a different type of player. I think this guy gives us what Ramsey, what we missed from a player like Ramsey, right? Imagine if we had like a Ramsey, but a Ramsey that can sort of like talk in sometimes to help that midfield. So I'm hoping that's really who comes. Any other person? I think right back, we should try to get a right back. I know everybody is thinking we have that covered for now. I'm scared for that right back position. And then I also want someone up top too. Even though Trossard is there, someone that gives all the top 3 players up front a good challenge. Where if we need to rest them, they can rest, and then it wouldn't feel like there's a drop in form, right? Just because next season we're going to be playing significantly more games than this season. That's something else we didn't really talk about. This season we played lesser amount of games compared to other top 4. So we would need depth, or
That's
else
because
we'll be.
we sell out, right? That we playing more games. We're going to be in the same amount of competitions.
Yeah, but remember, we dropped out of a lot of competitions early compared to other teams.
It may happen again.
Yeah, but you know,
But you can't rotate in the Champions League. Like you can't. So
Yeah.
we can't play. Like we didn't play our first 11. Well, Arteta played a lot of them, but he was rotating one or two players in the Europa. You won't be able to do that in the Champions League. Like
We can rotate.
I can't live seeing a holding in a Champions League game. Please God.
that's what I'm saying. You know, that's why
Yes.
you know
That's fair.
we need those versatile players, which is kind of like a good approach. And that's why, even though it's crazy, because just like Toby, I don't really care for Harvard too. I still frown at it, but I can understand the thinking behind it. Just because of that versatility and the ability to talk into those different positions. Because we're gonna next season we need depth. Like, and when I mean depth, you know, probably another thing they're thinking of is he's kind of used to the pace of the Premiership, and he kind of understands. You know, he has a feel already for it. Maybe they're hoping that he will just move on, you know, to the next stage. But that's what I think we need. And I think we also get that right back.
Can I just raise a point there as well, though? You know, we talk about contributions, and we're talking again. I think Toby said it. He said for Havertz to justify his position or that fee, he's gonna have to do X, Y, and Z, right? Just hear me out for a second. How many goals and assists did Mahrez have this year?
We had a hat trick.
Well, I'll ask how many minutes did he play?
No, he played again. So like, how many minutes did he play is one problem. He cost almost 100 mil as well, right?
Yeah, but he's won them the league twice already in the past, single-handedly.
When you go through the team, they rotate the players and they use them in specific competitions as needed. So Mahrez is basically, he had 5 goals, 10 assists. Grealish had 5 goals, 7 assists. Gundogan had 8 goals, 4 assists. It's all about how they contribute in big moments. It's not necessarily the overall number. They had one person that put up a shed load of goals in Haaland. But if you look at what those guys are doing relatively, they were able to end the season in a really good way because they were able to chop and change those players throughout the season. Like Gundogan got all of those goals and assists in the last 3 months of the season because he was fresh. He didn't play.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna read this comment real quick. How about Kelechi? And I'm not talking about the one where I should be. You know, like we have guests and these guys are just running. Oh God, Kwame, is this the time? Like, I'm talking about the one in Leicester. We're not going to get the one in Leicester, okay? Kelechi, let me ask you this real quick.
Yeah.
You're on the ground. I feel like you have inside scoop. Who are we going to sign next season?
You know what?
Who are we going to sign on for next season? What do you know? What secrets can you share with us?
I don't know. I'm playing on the side the Clara so that I can sing the movie Black Song. You like the Clara, you know that kind of thing, just for the vibes. I don't know. Me, my own is anybody they sign, I support. My work is I'm a supporter. I'm a fan. My work is to support the players and pick them up and encourage them. And that's what I'm going to do. So, Arteta has taken the team this far, and we trust him and his judgment together with AD. So whoever fits their system and they die support, who knows what can happen.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the bottom line, right? Because the only time I would say maybe Arteta put the foot wrong was with Willian, because we really forced us to bring Willian in, and then that didn't work.
No, don't say that's
that
the only
wasn't his
time.
signing. That wasn't his signing. That was
that was
Raul's
his
signing.
signing.
No, that wasn't his signing. That was Raul's signing.
Whose signing was it?
Raul, Fellaini. That was his signing. All those
Okay,
players.
help me on Arteta's
But Arteta supported it. Arteta is on
No,
camera
you have
saying
to see at that time. At that
wants
time,
it.
they were running the club. At that time, they were running the club. They were the big boys. They were taking decisions. At that time, Arteta did not have power. They were the ones in charge. They were the ones that technically quote unquote first as a Wenger out. So, and if there was one of my interviews that later went viral, after I said it, when I was saying like the way they were doing this to the younger person, when they give person back hand, because they were just dumping all the players and they were coming from what's that Iranian agent all the players were coming from him.
Oh, yeah.
So when one agent is in charge of your transfer policy, there's problem. Arteta wasn't in charge that time. He didn't have this power.
Okay.
Even what's his name? Miss Later was sidelined. It was Raul that was running the show. You understand? That's why they signed all those players. And I think they continue, they did their best, they contributed fine. That's fine. But it wasn't his time. Definitely not his time.
And I think if you look at it well as well, that was the summer where we put a lot of money towards Partey, right? So again, it was a free transfer. Everybody goes on about Willian. It was a free transfer. We terminated his contract at the end of the season, and he left for free. Like, what's the
Yeah, and kudos to him as well because he did not take the money. He
Right.
left
So-
it for the said, I didn't play well, I don't marry this thing, I'm going. And
Like-
now he's playing well in Fulham with our blessing.
Pablo Marie.
I think we could up there as well.
But again,
Pablo Marie and
not a bad
Cedric.
signing. Cedric,
No, hold on.
I'm joining us inside.
Cedric is probably the worst signing I've seen at Arsenal since I've been an Arsenal fan. Cedric. Like, we took that guy on a loan. We didn't have to make it permanent. And then we made it permanent. And then we never used him. And now we can't get rid of him. He's on 100 and something grand. Nobody wants him. He's coming back to fight for his place. I hope everyone is aware of that. Like, Cedric is still on our books. And he's going to say, I'm going to take that money because you guys gave me a contract. We didn't have to sign Cedric. We had him on a loan and Marie. We made both of them permanent. At least Marie, we've sold him and we got 4 or 5 million for him. Cedric is coming back to the club.
Marie
in a
was
few
loaned
weeks.
twice. Just say it. So Marie was loaned twice. When you loan a player, you get a fee involved in that too. So yes, we sold him for 5 in the end, but we probably got back about 8 for Pablo Marie in the end from what was whatever the minimal fee we paid. So there were mistakes, but I don't think those players were never bought to be starters at the club. They were
Right.
squad players. He was
True.
filling the squad. So we had
Exactly.
issues. We needed another left-sided centre back. Marie was a cheap one. We needed another wide player because Martinelli wasn't where he is yet. So we brought in an experienced player in Willian and a free. So Cedric, same thing. We had Bellerin.
But if you bring a backup player, at least you should be able to play him in 2 or 3 games and him not cost you the game. Cedric, literally, we could play him in any game half decently. Like that whole side, he made
I
every
think you're
centre
being
back
a bit
pairing
harsh.
look poor.
Exactly.
No, I think you're being a bit harsh. He played a few games, even towards the tail when we couldn't make top 4. Then upper season, he was playing. You can't fault him for anything really. Even the times he played, you can't say. In fact, he scored a wonder goal in one of the games. I think it was
Yes,
got from
he
after
won't
the
go.
box. Exactly. So you can't really blame him. He wasn't blame when he has played. You can't really blame him for. There's so many things happening in the team. I think you're being a bit hard by saying that.
I'm blaming the
what's
contract.
happening in Arsenal.
No, I'm blaming the contract when we did sign him because we'd seen him. We had seen he couldn't play Arteta's ball. We had seen he couldn't play the fullback role. So then why give him this big contract? Because now we've given him the contract. We can't move him on, is all I'm saying. I'm not blaming the player. We all knew he was past it. He was 29, squad player, a little bit here and there. So my question is, why then give that player the contract then? And now he's 100 and something thousand pounds and we can't move him on. That's all I'm saying. And it's fine. Everyone makes mistakes. We all make mistakes. I don't expect them to get it perfectly every time. I was just raising Cedric and Marie to the point to say, oh, well, Arsenal hasn't made mistakes since Arteta and Edu have been there. We've made mistakes and we're going to make mistakes.
Right,
Every
right.
team makes mistakes.
I didn't mean to imply that. I just think that I definitely think we're allowed, but and I like Kelechi's point to remind us that Arteta wasn't the one in charge of making some of those deals in the past. And then he was clearly the one helping us move those players out, even the loan deals, things like that. I feel like in the past, we may not have loaned those players out.
But I'll give you a point there, but EJ, right? Because yes, we made a mistake, but the salary for a year is about on 100. He's making 5 million a year.
Right.
Check. So it's a 10 million, 5 million mistake, not an 80 million, 100 million mistake. Like if you were Manchester United and you were telling me, hey, I got Maguire, I can't do Phil Jones for 10 years. Like you go through the list and you tell me about mistakes, that's a mistake. Right. Willian for 1 year, 5 million and out the door is not a mistake. It's just, okay, it didn't work. right? But
And just to go to your
Pepe
point,
is a
my
mistake.
problem is not even that. My problem is not that they are signing these players on 100K. My problem is the resale value. You cannot sign a Pepe for something million, and yeah, you want to cancel his contract
Exactly.
after 2 seasons. That's my problem is not the income. My problem is always the outgoing for Arsenal. They are not making enough from the outgoing. And that boils down to different things. Even if it's to package your player, give us YouTube highlights, saying score worthy, make the team price increase. Pay influencers to be hyping the guy, say, hey, Bola, give Bola, make the money go up. It's telling me, I'm not like that we cannot comfortably sell a player
Yeah.
comfortably. Now we're going to Chelsea for Harvard that has not even scored up to what Pepe has done. They want to buy him 60 million. But the Pepe that's 30 million want to let him go on his feet. It's not adding up for me. That's the only problem I have.
Well, Pepe
I
has
agree with you 100%, Kelechi. I agree with you 100%. It's been an Arsenal problem, ability to sell players, and I think some of it has to come down to Arteta only trusts certain players, and if he doesn't trust you, you don't get a sniff in. Like Pepe was scoring 9, 10, 11 goals at Arsenal, but he couldn't play the system, right? And most of it is on the player. The player needed to develop. I'm not blaming Arteta for Pepe not developing, but I'm saying, to Kelechi's point, were there ways we could have marketed Pepe and hopefully he did well? But also, the dude went to France and didn't even do well there. So you could say the player who did well on loan, Balogu, we can probably sell for 40 million, right?
Exactly.
Which would be great. Pepe went on loan, couldn't do anything.
No, but
Like,
the reason,
so some of it is on the player as well.
but the reason we're going to lose out on Pepe is not because of the fact that he didn't necessarily rip it up on loan. It's more because of the fact that his contract is what it is, and he's got 2 years left. So you're not going to give
180.
you're not going to be able to move him. So that's the situation. So you take the loan. There was a fee involved with him going out on loan. Like I said, we're not going to get anywhere near the 70 million back. So that one you just write off. That is a mistake. The club's just going to have to eat, right? But if I look at it, then you're offsetting this. Like you're going to get a 10 million, 5 million profit on TNA if you sell. You're going to get 40 million pure profit on a Balogun. We've done this before with Iwobi, people like that, right? So there's value in the academy. Patino, 10 million, whatever that's going to be, pure profit. So the club is fixing it by getting these players to sign contracts. And I think in a lot of instances where we're not being fair, getting Nketiah to sign, we might all have opinions on Nketiah. That is 20 million the club is potentially.
That's my boy. That's my boy. Great player. Great player.
So same thing with Reece Nelson, right? So you let them go for free, and everybody will be like, "Oh yeah, he's not good enough." But that's 10 million that's going to walk out the door for nothing.
I mean, we take it for instance. I mean, I don't know. Obviously, they've not said it officially that he's going or they're looking for fires and stuff. We keep hearing rumors. Let him increase it. Let him score a few bangers. Maybe his price will increase more. Other clubs will look at you and say, there's a player there still, and then they put money. This one we are just hearing, no, he's not part of the. It's like if you're not part of the plan, you're not part of the plan, or you're out. You package them. My friend, when Jesus came and scored 1 or 2 games in preseason, everybody downloaded him for fantasy football. But who was the good scorer? Haaland. Everybody said I him. That's the work of preseason. Hype your players. You can sell them. Just come out and you can say, no, he's part of your plan. He's a key part of. That's what you need to do.
Right.
And then we'll see. We need the money.
Yeah.
So they'll be season tickets now. Oh, God.
So before I leave this topic, one more thing. I just want yes or no. Do you guys think we will lose both Xhaka and Partey at the end of the summer?
No, we can't lose 2 of them. You have to have experience.
Which one will
Experience matter to guide the young players. Those players are still very young.
So
You know, and
I thought Xhaka had a deal with Bayer Leverkusen.
well, he hasn't gone yet. He hasn't been official. Obviously, you need somebody before you release him. He's very instrumental to the squad. He's the leader of the squad. Let's be honest. And there's a reason why the coach rates him, the whole rates him, Wenger bought him. Everybody has played it. He's a very, very instrumental person. So let's see how it goes. Maybe if the right deal falls to him, he will stay. I don't know. But he's not gone yet.
Okay.
I think. Oh, sorry. I was gonna say. I think I could see logic in both going, but would have to have such a good transfer window that Arsenal has never. It's like having a 10 out of 10 transfer window before you let those two go. So I
No,
do think
you
Xhaka
can't see the
will go.
logic. I can't see it. I don't know how you're seeing it. I can't see it.
Well,
You
let me
guys stay
describe
here
it.
now and talk about Ilkay Gundogan, being instrumental at his age to a machine, a massive
So
team at
Gundogan
his
can
age.
come.
That's experience. That's
But Gundogan
experience.
can come to Arsenal. That's the rumor. So when I say perfect season, perfect transfer window, it means if Chaka and Partey were to go, Gundogan comes in, Rice comes in,
Why would
Caicedo
why
comes
would
in.
Gundogan want to leave Man City and come to
His
Arsenal?
contract is over.
I
He
know that,
says
but
he's
why would he
going for
want to
free.
leave?
Arteta.
He said he
Why
wants to go.
Arteta. It's as simple as that.
He says he wants to go.
Arteta.
Gundogan says
Yeah,
he wants to leave.
I get that he wants to leave, but
Do we
why
not think
would
City
he?
wants to move on from him?
Huh?
Sorry.
Do we not think City? Is it not realistic to believe that City wants to move on from Gundogan?
I mean, Gundogan is what, 31 or how old is he?
31.
He wants to move on.
Yeah.
And the deal was either Barcelona or go to Saudi. And then he said the rumors are he wants to come to Arsenal.
But the rumors that he's
So that's
taking
what
his
I
time
mean
to
by
decide.
perfect. Sorry?
He's taking his time to decide.
Yeah.
But that's fine. But what I'm saying is that I don't think you can, for the role that he plays, you can have him there. But for me, you can't sell Partey as that as I say. No way. It's not possible.
I think the contracts and the offers
And leave
and
so he's playing Latvia, that 19-year-old. Latvia is not on Bellingham's level.
But
Not
you
on
still have
Bellingham's level.
Jorginho. You have Jorginho, Rice, and
Jorginho,
Caicedo.
really? They
Rice
give you
and
Jorginho and
Caicedo.
Partey. They give you Jorginho and
No,
Partey.
no,
Who
no,
you
no.
play?
George,
No, really. With all due respect,
Party for sure. But I'm saying if there's a perfect transfer where you can get younger, bring in experienced Gundogan, that's the only way. Ateta will never let Party go for nothing. You see, when he knows that's his number one name on his team sheet every week, if he's fit.
So the drop off.
That's the number one name.
The drop off we saw with Partey towards the end of the season. Do you think it's a factor of age and it's a progressive drop off? Are we expecting him to improve, or he was tired? What do we think?
the drop off was for only like 3-4 games. Let's not overhype it. That's number one. Number two, he went to Ghana with a physio, with our physio. I've never seen it before. That means he was not fit. Boy was probably playing through the pain barrier for us, but we are playing for drop off. These are the issues.
But
Your manager came out and said that Saka was having Achilles pain or something before the last game. Next year, Saka started the match. Myself, I was scared. I'm like, why is he starting a dead rubber match against Wolverhampton? So these are the issues. Maybe he was not fit. I don't know. I don't know. But for him to go to Ghana with a physio, I've never seen it before in my life. That a player went to discuss physio to international duty. Something must have been wrong.
yeah, he was injured towards the end of the season. EJ, it was clear, like you could see it. He wasn't moving well. That Manchester City game, he wasn't himself.
Right, he wasn't moving at all.
Exactly.
That
But
game,
I don't think that's the reason that the club. I explained it earlier. Xhaka, 2 years left. Partey, 2 years left. If they don't sign contracts this summer, we are going to have to do something with both of those players, right? Because to give Xhaka a contract and to him to stay, again, I don't know what that's going to be. 180, 200 grand a week. Partey, again, 180, 200 grand a week. They're going to want to be top earners at the club at 30 years old. I think the club is looking at both of them and is saying, look, we're not going to give two 30-year-olds 3 to 4 year contracts on 200 grand a week. Based on what we just all spoke about,
right.
it makes sense. So if you can get Rice, who's 24, if you could get Lavia, who's 19, if you can get Caicedo, who's 21, you're basically upgrading your midfield. You still have Jorginho. You can then go and get a Gundogan. So you've got some experience and you've improved the quality. That's probably what they're looking to do. But to Toby's point, that is perfect transfer window fantasy where you get those 2-3 top players and then you can move on those two players at the same time. But I think the club is looking at it because if Partey doesn't sign a contract this year At the end of the season, he's going to have 1 year left and he's going to be 30 years old. And with his injury record, they're probably looking at it and going, do we do this now or do we do this in a year's time? If the transfer window goes the way I think it might, and they get an offer, someone puts 40 million on the table, they might just bite their hand off and go and spend it on Lavia and Caicedo. I think that's what might happen. Because Rice is good enough to come in and do what Partey is doing, and Lavia is the backup. Not Jorginho. Jorginho's just a squad player.
Are we keeping Jorginho?
Yeah, don't forget we already extended El Neni. So we already extended El Neni.
But the El Neni contract wasn't about playing. The El Neni contract wasn't about playing. That was because he was injured and they knew he wasn't going to be fit before the end of the transfer window. So that's just them being nice. But my point is,
he's another body that Arteta trusts and is a tidy player. If you put him next to Rice,
he wasn't given an extension for playing reasons. So it's unfair to release him with his injury. That's why they gave him contract. That's it.
But my point is, he's still there. He can still play Carling Cup.
He's doing his coaching badges. He's doing his coaching badges.
Kelechi, you don't want to see him on the pitch.
Now.
That's what he's doing. He's doing his badges.
He's doing his badges now.
Okay. And he's on 45 grand a week. He's on 45 grand a week. So you know what?
It should have been unfair. I think one of the teams in the US resigned their player who has a mental health issue so that he can use the club facilities. You know, that's the right thing to do. He got injured playing for us. You know, give him a new contract. If he's fit enough to play, why not? He'll play. He can guide. But obviously, we are no longer playing in Europa League or Europa whatever. So, you understand where we live? Well, that's the issue.
Say, Harry, do you have anything else to say before I move on?
No, I mean, I agree with most of the things that you guys already touched on. I also just wanted to mention, I don't know if you guys remember during the course of the season, I think towards the tail end of the season, I know there was a rumor about Partey and some of his potential off the field issues. That might also be something that they're looking at, right?
Nice.
And saying, hey, should we cut our losses now and move on and get someone who's more durable and younger for next season, who we can build for the future? So that might also be, their rationale or their thought process. But other than that, I agree with a lot of the sentiments you guys, a lot of the facts that you guys have made and assessments. I'm just hopeful that, we need this transfer season to go right for us, because our next step now, the next step in our progression is actually to start winning and develop that mentality, and whereby we're winning something consistently. I'm not if I say this now, Man U fans will be giving me the side eye. It's not Carling Cup or FA Cup, making an impact in Champions League, and also going for the league, full throttle. So that's what I think our next will do. And it's now or never for us, right? It's now or never, because if we don't get it right this transfer, then we're going to regress again. So that's why this transfer season is very important for us.
Okay, and on that note, I'm not going to read this comment because this guy's a joker. He said Partey took a physio to Ghana. Pogba was using his own personal doctors while he was at United because our medical department is full of plumbers and electricians. So funny.
Why can't they fix the jacuzzi then?
Exactly. Help me ask them. All right, so I think your comment to Henry is a good segue to our. Sorry, that's not what I meant to do. Our segue to the next point. Okay, goals for Arsenal Football Club for 2023-2024. So what do we expect for next season? Everyone said we're going to finish out the top four. Like I said we would finish third. We finished second. We didn't win anything. What do you guys think our goals should be for next year? Our targets. What do we need to do? Who wants to go first? I'll let anyone go.
Okay, so I'll go if you guys don't mind me going. I think the goal for next season, personally for me, is win one major trophy, not minor trophy, one major trophy, and make the.
So qualify major trophy. For the record, what do you consider major trophies?
FA Cup, Champions League, or the league. Those are the major. Yeah, those are the major trophies. Again, if they win the Carling Cup, that's fine. Half a loaf is better than none. But they need to get that mentality again now. Like, start winning and then challenging on all fronts. So, goal one, win one trophy. Goal two, make the top four. That's it.
Okay. Steven.
Sorry,
No, go
I
ahead,
know.
Nico.
Like, I go now. Make sure that I go feel run. I beg.
Okay, so okay, go ahead.
Look at the event. I beg. No event. Yeah, I mean, obviously we are going to go for all trophies. My own is that take everything serious. Don't, and that's, I'm not a fan of Mourinho, but one of the aspects of his life I like is that he takes everything serious. Every cup is important. Make everything important. Obviously, I understand that the Carabao Cup is the least one. Take it as important as you can. But just get us playing and get us united. Take the season seriously. The season will set the tone for so many things, in my opinion. Unfortunately, people like us, we cannot come to US. We don't have money. Maybe PJs every morning now, I'll come. I support the boys. I tell man, see where we are starting. Every morning now, I'll come.
I jam you for Emirates when I come now. You don't forget. We take picture outside the Emirates. You take so many pictures. They remember.
Yeah, but I mean, just take everything seriously. I mean, go for it. Learn from our mistakes this season. Learn from Inter Milan the way they played Man City this season. But when we went there, Jesus. After like this, I don't really almost reach one finish. That's why I just jump. And yeah, we'll go for it. I'm sure we'll play well.
All right, perfect. Thank you for
All right,
joining
like,
us.
take care, yeah. No worries.
Thanks,
We'll see
Kelechi.
now.
Yeah.
Take care, guys. Thank you. Nice to meet you guys.
All right. Do you have something else to add?
Yeah, no, it's just a thing, where there's a Joker card for next season. You see how there's a World Cup here and everything. I believe next season.
No, this year.
This year, yeah. So next season, remember the Champions League format changes, right? We don't know, the impact that's gonna take, for on a lot of these teams, right? I think there's more of like a round robin for different sections. So that's also gonna play a part or a role in, how they do in that tournament too.
Yeah. Okay. All right, Stephen. What do you say?
Yeah, no. For me, it's challenging for the league. It's not about top four. Like, we got to get out of that mindset. I think we got to challenge and stay there and challenge. Because I think if we start going in, okay, win a trophy, top four, the league is going to that specifically at the top end. We've seen it now that you can go 2 years in and then you can drop out of the top four. Right? Liverpool won a league, they've won a Champions League, and they ended up finishing 5th. Chelsea won a Champions League, they were in 10th. I don't think the top four means anything anymore because I think the teams are big enough and strong enough, and the competition is so tight in the Premier League. So I think we got to aim to stay and get close, keep getting closer to whoever's at the top, and then take the competition seriously, as Kelechi mentioned. Like, we need to take the cup seriously. I don't want to be losing in the third round of the FA Cup again. Like, take the competition seriously, see what happens in the cup competitions. But the league and competing in the league is what we're building the team for.
Okay. Someone said, my goal is for Arsenal to go toe-to-toe and make more friends along the way. I'm sure, that's okay. So, yeah, Toby, what do you have to add?
Yeah, I think I'm going to give more specific goals. So I think for me, I want to see 90 plus points next season.
Okay.
If you say you want to get 90 plus points, if City wants to win the league at 100 points, fine. Can't compete with them. They're nation state. I'm waiting for FFP to ban them and dock them. They're at 10 points and we'll be fine. But I think if you set a goal that I think if we can get 90 points next season, for sure we're in top four. Like, there's no debate there, right? And we've probably pushed someone for the league. And if Liverpool wants to go get 95 points as well, kudos to them, right? If United wants to get 98 points, every team can do what they want. If we get at 90 plus points, it shows we've improved. It shows a level of consistency that we saw for 3/4 of this season that we've now seen. Because what that would mean is rather than a season ending 75% of way through, would have gone almost to the last day with maybe some draws and some. That would have made it, right? So I think 90 plus points is good. And then I would actually I would say in the Champions League, get to the knockout stages, right? Because if you get to the knockout stages in the Champions League, then anything can happen, right? You get to the first knockout stage and then you're playing Real Madrid, right? And who cares? You may go out, right? But if you can get to the knockout stages, then it shows we've done better in Europe and at our first chance than we've done in a while. So for me, those would be my two goals: 90 points and have a decent run at the Champions League. If 90 points wins you the league, all well and good. I think the FA Cup, Arteta won it his first half season. Let's not forget. So I get people saying, "Have we competed?" We've won. Arteta has won the cup. He's won the FA Cup. He's won the Community Shield. We might win the Community Shield when we play City in a few weeks. No one like Arsenal has the record highest number of FA Cups. Another FA Cup for us right now. Theo Walcott won the FA Cup with Arsenal. We had worse teams with no mentality winning the FA Cup, right? I want them to get 90 points, do something in Europe for once. That for me will be progression.
Yeah, I agree. I think we need to, again, try, like, go for the league again to the end this time. You know, I always like to put the season in context. We did a good job with this session, putting that season in context. We know what happened towards the end. We know if we have a good transfer window, which we're hoping we will have, we should be able to do even better than we did this year. So that should be the target. Win the league or die trying. And by die trying, I mean you're very close. Like, it needs to be what happened to what's that team in Germany? I mean, I don't want that to happen to us, but...
Well, it's like what happened to Liverpool when they got 97 points and they lost it to City on 98 or whatever it was. I can't remember.
It used to be
lost
truly...
one game all season.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we can do that with the squad. Like I said, this season we were the favorites. Like, once they realized what we were doing, we became the favorites in pretty much every game we played, except for when we faced City. So those games are mostly winnable. So we should be able to, like, elevate past, our boys are going to get stronger. Also, I'm counting on City's players to nosedive off a cliff. Surely, these people are getting old. Walker is old. Walker is 1990, so he's 33. De Bruyne is
EJ.
He played half a season.
No, the crazy part of it is they're getting rid of those players, which means they're going to replace them.
They're going to replace.
So,
De Bruyne is not falling off a cliff. He's 32.
De Bruyne gone.
Yeah.
Laporte gone. Walker gone. Cancelo gone. Like, they're going to just let Mahrez could be going to Saudi. Like, they're just gonna let them go, and they're going to come into. That's why I'm nervous about this Rice deal, because the longer we stay there and faff around, if Gundogan is officially out the door and they need a midfielder, they'll just come and take it.
And there are rumors on Twitter. I'm seeing rumors on Twitter saying City's going for Rice too.
Of course. So. Like, they're asking to be informed. Like, if we don't hurry up, like, you turn around, he'll be gone. Like,
whew. But yes, we need to. And then, like you guys said, Champions League. One-off competitions for me. I get what you guys are saying. We need to go further, but, like, I feel like on any given day, we may lose a game, and it may be that one competition. But, like, if you're
the thing with the cup, DJ, is, like, I think we need to. This team, specifically the younger players, there's only so much disappointment that we can let them keep having. They have to get a taste of winning. So yes, they've won an FA Cup, but they need to keep winning things. Like, they have to feel like they're getting closer to something. I think if we just keep going, okay, you got it. Because again, think about it, progress-wise. You miss out on the Champions League, you take that disappointment, you come back the next season, you challenge for the title, you miss out. Okay, you come back the next season, you put up another 90 points, and you miss out. Like, that's Liverpool.
That's draining, yeah.
That's Liverpool. Like, that's what happened to those guys, right? And I'm saying, I think we need to compete, but we've got to start getting closer to winning things or winning things with this team for them to really kick on. I think Liverpool won trophies in between those competitions, right? Because they won a Champions League. Like, we talk like they got them.
What would you?
It's been 4 years to win one, though.
Right.
Yeah, but Steve, what would you prioritize if I offered you same points in the league? We do what we do in the league, and maybe we finish second. But I say a semi-final Champions League versus winning the FA Cup. What would you take? Will you take winning the FA Cup?
Semi-final Champions League is not knockout stage of the champ. You said knockouts. The knockouts.
No, I said go past it.
Okay.
Yeah, no, because I want to go past it.
You do that.
I don't want to get. No. We've there were twice under Wenger. We went there. And we basically went to Europe to take attendance. That's why I don't want to happen. I don't want us to get there and then we drop to Europa. I don't want that. So what I want is we have to go past that. That's what I mean.
No, we do that,
That's what I mean.
and you can see that there's progression still, and we're getting closer to competing. Like, I don't want to go out of the FA Cup to a team that is not one of the top sides. If we go to the FA Cup to
Yeah.
Man City, okay. We go out of the
Right.
FA Cup to
Yeah.
Nottingham Forest, hell no.
No,
That's
yeah.
what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
yeah, no, that's fair. No, you're right.
That's
lost
what
to-
I'm saying.
Sorry.
Yeah, no. So City, we lost.
Yeah,
that's
but
what I'm
not
saying.
Carling Cup.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't know what
but
No, we lost the Carling Cup to Forest, right? Was it Forest?
No, we lost the boy. I think we have
Brighton.
Brighton.
It was Brighton.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
that's
that's
easy.
true.
We need to beat
So that's what
Brighton.
I'm saying.
My goal is to beat City at least one time next season.
Yeah,
One
you
time.
got to just make that.
No, my goal is, I think what Kelechi said is important, right? Is Arteta played his style of football, irrespective of the opponent. And that's what you do when you're trying to create muscle memory. It's not necessarily what you want to do if you really, really want to win. Because when he won the FA Cup against Chelsea, was that? Oh, wait. We were like two lines of four, inverted Maitland-Niles, Aubameyang, one goal, locked it up. He compromised his so-called principles for that game, right? So you know he can be flexible. So I do think the aim has to be, now we got to be street smart when we go to City, and we go, you know what, we're going to come here, we're going to get a point and celebrate like we won the league. And then when we come to our home, we're also going to frustrate you. But now he has to have the players that he trusts to do that. And I don't think he has that yet, or he trusts them yet. So for me, that's the evolution I want to see. I want to see our brand of football, then I want to see 2 or 3 different strategies that we can deploy depending on the opposition. Pep, everyone knows Pep ball, but every single game, he goes to a different format because he's like, no, I'm going to look at my opponent and I'm going to figure out where the space is. Gundogan started the league playing left back and ended up scoring, right? So that's to me, that's Pep, that's Arteta's mentor, right? So I think I would just want to see evolution, that we're not just one style of play. Everyone knows if you stop Zinchenko and Partey, we can't pass the ball. We need to see variability, and I think playing tougher teams in Europe in the Champions League with more at stake, I think would actually be good for us and going farther in Europe. And there's more money getting to the semifinal of Europe than there probably is in some of these other competitions. So, but I mean, obviously we'll take a trophy, but take the league, just take the league and be done.
So what's going on with this format? What do they mean? The teams are not dropping to Europa. So what's going on? They just leave. Does anyone know?
I'm not sure. Honestly, I'm not sure.
Payoff,
Like
right?
a round robin.
A new format. Yeah, so there's like the top 8 go through, and then there's like a round robin for the other 8 that get into the knockout.
Okay.
So it's like a weird format. So the top 8 teams go automatically through to the last 16, and then the next 8 play off against the next 16 play off against each other, and then they go through from that. The 8 teams go through from that.
Why did they do it? It's like heroes.
So it's
Like when
going to
you
be
take
Because of money. Money.
It's all about
Money.
money. But let me just say one more thing, and I'm glad Toby brought this up, right? Because that was going to be my last contribution. I've started to notice Arteta showing a little bit signs of Wenger in terms of him being stubborn with his strategy. It seems like he gets so used to certain tactics and certain ways he wants his players to play. Maybe it's because of the lack of depth that makes him do that. I'm hoping again with depth this will change, but we need to learn going forward how to win ugly games. We don't need to always win pretty. Do you understand what I mean? There's certain games where we know that certain teams they know how to frustrate us, and all we need is score 1 goal, 2 goals, shut up shot. Do you understand? Be very compact and do the job. We've shown that we can do this. That's what's frustrating for me sometimes with Arteta. We've shown that we can play different patterns, and just win ugly. Good teams know how to win ugly. City against Inter Milan won ugly. That was not the prettiest football they played in that Champions League final. You can make the case that Inter Milan actually had a better game, barring the goal. But we need to start learning how to win ugly. Like, 1-0, don't complain, just take it. Get your 3 points and get out. That's also one of our goals that I hope we can accomplish this season.
I think that ties in with beating City at least one time this season. So I think the only way we can beat City, I don't think we can match them the way we play because they'll just up with us. So we just need to find a different tactic, sit back and counter, which we're not.
Can I give a shout out to United fans?
And we've done it in the past. Do you understand?
Yes.
Like we've done it in the past. So this is not like Arsenal has never done this before.
Yeah.
We've shown that we can do this. So why can't we? And it's not all games. Literally prep this team, you drill them going into these games. Probably even rest the players because going into those certain games, they have to give it their all, right? Because come the end of the season, the margins are always very, 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 very tight. So that's also part of the progressions I hope we can make.
Okay. Sorry, Toby,
EJ, can I do a quick shout out to a
go
United fan for helping me buy my latest Arsenal jersey? In case you haven't noticed, this is the new Arsenal jersey, straight from London.
Who did you get
United fans, Yinka Elegbede bet with me that United will finish above Arsenal, and thereby he paid me money. So I just want to thank them for my new digs.
Okay. Even with their new coach, how could he have been sure?
Don't mind. They are very, very silly. I have like 5 bets with them every season. They bought my jersey last season as well. So it's all good.
Okay, I think this is, unless someone has anything to add, I think we have come to the end of our podcast. Really want to say I appreciate you guys coming. I think we will have the best podcast out of every individual. So I think Chelsea's going next week. United will go the week after, and Liverpool maybe after that. But I think ours was the best, or will be the best. So yeah.
Oh, Chelsea, I need to be in the chat for that for sure.
I'm going to join because they're all going to be crying. I know that.
And then the only problem is that they will most likely dedicate about 15 minutes bashing Arsenal. That's what probably.
Yeah, exactly. So we've already done it. I'm happy we went first because then they'll spend their time talking about us, and then it'll be too late. We're already done. We're done. But yeah, I have to read this comment before we go. Shirt when even fine. The thing be like bend down so well. Yeah,
Lord. Oh my God! Oh God! See,
hater.
Okay, I said United is next week. Okay, United is next week. So I'll end on that note. Thank you guys for showing up. It was a great podcast. Thank you to Kelechi for joining us. Even though he popped for a few minutes, it was a great discussion. I appreciate that. And we'll see you guys next time. Go Gunners.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys. It was a pleasure. Bye.
Bye.